Okay, I'm going to show you a tracking attachment installation from box to finished product. Now the first thing is when your box arrives, it'll come in two packages. This is our straight track, foot straight track, and then our curtain and our kit. Don't be surprised if these two boxes come on different days. Despite the fact we send them on the same day, sometimes they just arrive on separate days. So let's see what we got in here. Got a curved track, got some fiberglass rods. It must be our stucco strip. We've got a kit, and of course we got our curtains. So let's show you what tools you're going to need. Okay, let's show you what tools you're going to need. First of all, before we do anything, you got yourself a beautiful curtain here. Let's crack this baby open and see what you got, because I want you to get excited and see how great this stuff is. It'll give you a lot of motivation. Wow, it's good stuff. Anyway, those are our curtain panels. So the tools you are going to need is a drill, a hacksaw to cut the track. Metal file is a good idea. Sometimes there's little burrs there you may want to shave off. Scissors, I don't remember why we need scissors, but we'll see. And then a soda straw, McDonald's, Starbucks, and I'll show you why in a moment, but this is really handy. That's all you need. So let's look at what came in your kit. Remember, we have a stucco strip. This is a stucco strip. It's like a mini panel. And what we're going to do is we're going to snap one edge to a wall, and the other side we're going to rig with magnets to create a magnetic opening. Okay. The $130 fully refundable snap tool. This puts the snaps on lickety split. And these are marine snaps. Those are marine snaps, snap tool. Let's see, we have our elastic cord set up. It's got a couple D-rings, clips to do your elastic cord, screws, everything you need there. These screws are for the tracking. Incidentally, this is a curved track that we're going to be using in our project. Our tracking screws. These are the carriers that snap to the top of your curtains and glide through the track. These are splices and end caps to connect your tracks. Remember, the track's a lot like Hot Wheels track. Straight track, splice, straight track, splice. Cut the last one with a hacksaw, put an end cap on it. So these are splices and end caps for the track. The other marine snaps here. This is to rig our magnetic doorway. We have our rare earth magnets here that are padded in this packing here, and a little tool that we provide, seam ripper, to put the magnets in. We'll talk about later. These are tie backs to tie your curtains back when they're gathered or swagged. And these are fiberglass rods for the magnetic doorways. Be careful when you uncoil these things. These are coiled under tension. They're a little bit spring loaded. So please be careful with these. And this is the track. These are your straight tracks that came in the mail. Let's hang a curtain. Okay, let's talk about mounting your track. First, let's talk about how many screws. For a curved track, I like to use just one in the center. That way I can rotate it and pivot it. Remember, this is going to splice to another track, and there'll be a screw nearby, so this will be plenty stable. For a straight track, I like to use just 3 screws. Remember, this is netting. You're not holding up Gibraltar, you're holding up netting. So remember, there's going to be a splice that is on the ends of each of these tracks. So I probably want to come in about 6 inches. So if you go in 6 inches, you're going to avoid the splice just fine. So in 6 inches, and then to find the middle, that's about the middle. Okay, this is important. These screws go straight up through the track and into something hard. And if you look at this, it is a very tight fit. Also, you definitely want to pre-drill your holes. You don't want to be trying to just drive a screw straight up through the track when you're up on a ladder. So let's pre-drill these 3 holes. And there's a really cool trick. Go get a McDonald's soda straw. We happen to be using a Starbucks soda straw. What I'm going to do is I'm going to peel this back. What we're going to do here is we're going to create ourselves a little sleeve so we don't nick the side of the track. There, I got myself a little sleeve, and the head of the screw will go through the sleeve just fine. So we'll just get started drilling. Sometimes the head of the bit will want to dance around a little bit. So you could use a nail. I just happen to find the first thing available. And all I'm doing is I'm scoring it so that I have a little bite for my screw. You use my sleeve so I don't nick the track. Put that soda straw down in there. Also, make sure you have a little protection. You don't want to drill into mama's table. So I'm going to do the same thing over here. I'm going to go in about 6 inches. Curve track, soda straw. I'm in the center of the track so I can pivot it. Done. Now when I mount my track, I'm going to start with my curve track. Always start with the curve track and then work your way away from the curve. Because remember, we need a factory cut here and a factory cut here. So before I go and mount this thing, I think what I want to do is I want to put these splices on. You'll see that there's some Allen screws here. So 2 go on this track, 2 will go on that track. So I'm going to take this Allen screw that's provided for you. If for some reason you lose it, it's a 1.5 millimeter. I'm just going to lock this down. Once these are tight, then you can confidently screw in both sides and you know the butt's not going to shift. Okay, let's hang this thing. Okay, so I've taken my screw, I put it in a soda straw as a sleeve to protect the edges of the track. I'm going to put it in the hole here. Take my drill head. Notice I have a drill shaft that's long and narrow. So again, so I won't risk dinging the track, and I know I can get all the way through. Okay, I don't want to quite screw it all the way in because I need a little bit of room to get this track in with the splice. I'll tighten this guy up later. One reason I let this screw loose is so that I have a little bit of play here. So I can easily tighten these boys. And I want my joint real tight. Again, remember, we only splice factory cuts. Okay, so I got my joint nice and tight. Yeah, so I'm going to put this middle screw in. And I just need to go in. Just enough to hold it. That one's in and my joint's good. I'm just going to keep working my way down. This is a track length. Remember, we're going to come to this end with a right angle. And there needs to be a gap. I like to cut my track as I go. That way I can see that it's going to work. And I don't have to guess whether my measurement's right or if I have map measures right. I have my gap. I mark it like that. So now we're going to cut the track with an ordinary hacksaw. I made my mark, and now I cut. Anything that you cut with a hacksaw gets an end cap. This will hold an end cap just fine. This is a little 5-foot track. So again, I'm going to go in 6 inches. Okay, so I've field cut my track. I've got my gap. That's perfect. I'm making sure that's the factory cut. That's my cut. And put it in the splice. Get my joint tight. So we're going to tighten up our joint. This is a 12-foot side. So what I'm doing here is I'm going to put two tracks together. I'm going to hold it up, mark it, and cut it. So the most important thing is while it's down here, I need to get my joint right. Okay. We got a good tight joint. But I don't have to worry about being wrong on any math. I can butt it up there. I can bring it over here to my 2-inch gap and mark it. Okay, so what's important is we need a gap on any given segment. Our gap is going to be at the right angle. So I can go ahead and abut this to the wall. Before I start, I'm just going to put the end cap on. Okay, so remember, we're going to have a short little panel here for a magnetic doorway. So I'm going to go ahead and put that on first, and then we're going to have a larger panel that goes all the way around. Now, at the right angle method, this is where I have my gap. My end caps are off, so I could actually feed this curtain down this track, around the corner, and into its position. So let's put these snap carriers on. You can get these on with your hands, but after a while, it's a little trouble. So, why don't you put them on with that? Much easier, yeah? Okay, in the first step, we got our track mounted. Okay, then we put our snap carriers on the curtain. What I've done is I've laid the curtains out on the floor here because we're going to rig the magnetic doorways, and it's a whole lot easier to do it on the floor than it is when the curtains are hanging. So these are my 3 panels. This is my large panel. I just got it bunched up here in the middle. But I got a skinny panel, I got my large panel, and then I have my stucco strip. And they're in order. And incidentally, if you have multiple panels, the panels are usually labeled sequentially, and there's a diagram that comes with your order that will have a panel diagram, and look on the back of the label and you'll see the panel number. So on this particular application, it's 9 feet tall. I don't have very much wind, so I'm going to use 5 magnets. So I want to equally space these things, so I'm going to put one near the top here, and I'm just using some of the kids' chalk. I'm going to put one at the bottom. I'm going to make it on the other panel. So to insert the magnets, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use what we call the ramrod method. So as I ramrod this down, I want kind of a rounded edge. So I'm going to sort of round this edge a little bit like an eraser head. Okay, so be careful when this opens because it's just going to want to fly all over the place and you don't want to get hurt. And this is a 10-foot rod. These are my rounded edges. Use a lighter, I'm just going to sear that, it keeps it from splintering. The magnets, if you look here, you'll see double stitching. The magnets go between the double stitching. And we're going to use the fiberglass rod to ramrod those magnets into position. This outer channel here eventually will hold the fiberglass rod itself. Okay, so let's see how this thing works here. Reverse seam ripper. What I want to do is I want to go between the double stitching without crossing over the double stitching. So I'm going to make a little slit. I'm going to come out before the stitch. Definitely don't want to cross over it. It's a very sharp knife. We'll go right through it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put my first magnet in, push it down to the chalk mark, and just keep doing that. Now for the first panel, it doesn't really matter how I put the magnets in. What matters is how I put the other side in, because they need to attract each other and not repel each other. So these magnets are very, very, very powerful. Don't let them slam together. This rare earth metal is very brittle. Once it gets into the binding, it becomes padded and we don't need to worry about it. But if you slam these together, they'll just crack. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to twist off a magnet. I'm going to put it in the little pocket that I created with the seam ripper between the double stitching. That's going to go in. She's going to pull on the other end. Give me a nice straight line. Just going to ramrod this baby down. Remember, we're doing 5 total. Got it? Good. Easy to do. And we can put in as many magnets as we want, and it all depends upon our wind conditions. There's my pocket, goes in, fiberglass rod, ramrods that one into place. Okay, now when I'm finished putting my magnets in, I want to clean up my little cut mark. So what I do is I just put my hand here, get the lighter, just wave it real quick, tap, 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 it's all sealed. Okay, my chalk marks, wipe away. So let's lay this back down on the ground again. So like I say, we don't really care what the polarity is of the first set of magnets. We definitely care what the polarity is on the second set of magnets. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to lay a magnet on this. You'll see how strong they are. You just have to get them close and they'll find the other magnet. There it is. She's got those. And they are laid correctly, okay? Next thing we're going to do is I'm going to take a Sharpie and I'm just going to mark the back of the magnet, just enough so I can see it. All I have to do when placing these magnets is that the Sharpie mark is on top and I put them down in the correct order, starting with the bottom magnet first and working my way up. So I'm going to go ahead and take my fiberglass rod, ramrod this thing down. First thing before I do anything, let me test and see my magnetic connection, that bottom magnetic connection. Make sure that that works correctly. Is that attracting or repelling? Perfect. Okay, so I'm testing it. So I'm going to put in the next one, Sharpie side up, because that's the way I'm doing this. I'm going to take my fiberglass rod, ramrod that baby down. If I do put it in backwards and it does, and I get down there and I find it does repel, I can massage it and get that thing to flip, right? Well, let's put it in right the first time. Okay, so let's lay this down and test to make sure our work was good. And all these babies are attracting. They're not repelling. They're all lined up. Great. Let's do the other side. Before I put this up, I want to file it, get it round, not to a sharp point, like a dagger, but like a eraser head. You try to get around it, right? That'll make it go in a lot easier. And also to prevent this from splintering, okay, melts the end. Okay, fiberglass rod. Remember, the magnets are between that double stitching. Fiberglass rod goes outside the double stitching. There's a little channel right out here just outside the double stitching. If you look at the bottom of the curtain, there's a little bit of a hole. I'm just going to take this fiberglass rod and we're going to put it up into that hole. You can see the fabric is spiraling around that. It's okay, we'll just even it out. Now it's nice and straight. And for the last little bit, I'm going to go over here and push against something hard. So the fiberglass, this is a 10-foot fiberglass rod. It's a 9-foot curtain. I want my fiberglass rod to be short. I want it to end right about here, about 2 inches up from the bottom of the curtain. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull this back. I'm going to take some cutters. And again, I want to file the end. Okay, hold the flame, blow right out. There's where it ends. Now over time, even though it's a tight fit in there, it can have a way of kind of working its way out and poking out the bottom. So we came up with this clip. We had this thing custom made for us. Basically, you can put it anywhere on the curtain. You can put it at the top, you can put it at the bottom. Basically, this clip goes on and it grips that fiberglass rod so it won't slip out anymore. Okay, so this is a stucco strip. We have the magnets inside. This right here is the top of the stucco strip. This is the bottom. There's a little channel outside the double stitching. You just have to kind of work it open a little bit. Okay, so putting the fiberglass rod in the stucco strip is a little bit more of a challenge because there's some thick material in there. But just be patient. Work it in. Generally when you get it started, it'll flow a little better, but it's definitely a little bit more work than a curtain panel to get this in. So we're going to pull tight and I'm going to start pushing. Eventually it's going to get too hard to push, and I'll show you what to do when that occurs. So now what I need to do is there's a lot of thick material in there, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to inchworm it down. I'm just going to inch it down and pull, inch, and then pull. Sometimes we get calls, this just will not go in. Be patient. And the last little bit, I'm just gonna use a wall here to help me out. I'm gonna push that in. And I wanna push it in really far, so it's actually up in there a little bit. Okay? What you're going to find is once you've pushed it in with all the tugging and pulling, particularly on those stucco strips, it's going to come out like a spiral. So what you want to do is just kind of massage it. So I've got my fiberglass rod up in here about 2 inches or so. And even though it's hard to get these fiberglass rods into these stucco strips, it can find a way of working itself out. So we came up with this clip. We had this thing custom made for us. Basically, you can put it anywhere on the curtain. You can put it at the top, you can put it at the bottom. Basically, this clip goes on and it grips that fiberglass rod so it won't slip out anymore. So I'm about to mount my first panel. A lot of people ask, this way or this way? It really doesn't matter. However, aesthetically, it looks better when the carriers are on the opposite side of the panel. So since I'm the one that's spending the most time on the porch and I care what I think and I don't really care anymore what the squirrels think, I am going to have the carriers on the outside of my panel. Now remember, some of the curtain is going to hang off the track, so there may be more of these snap carriers than you actually need. And I can see right now that I will not need this first snap carrier. So I'm not even going to put that guy on. I'm going to start with my second one. And Vanna White is going to send it on down. Beautiful. May I have this one, please? Got him? All right. So now I'm going to take the other end of the curtain and I'm going to feed it down the other leg. And I've got a relaxed fit. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my end caps on, or these carriers are just going to fall out. So now I've got all my curtains up. What I want to do is stretch it out and see what I have on both sides to see how much overlap I want. And again, what we're looking for is a relaxed fit. We don't want it drum tight, and we don't want it sloppy loose, okay? Just a relaxed fit. Some people ask us, do you need to put the male in first and then the female on, or the female on first and then put the male snap on? Well, when you're using the $130 fully refundable snap tool, it doesn't matter. So I'm going to do this side where I put the males in first, and when I do the stucco strip on the other side, I'm going to show you how I put the females in first. What I did was I put my male snaps in, spaced them the way I wanted them, and now I'm going to put the females on. And I'm going to use the industrial snap tool. But one good clean way to do this is I'm going to take some chalk and I'm going to color that snap. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold this where I want it, and I'm going to press it in the center of the binding. It's going to make a little indentation mark. And that's where I put my snap. A little adjustment knob to squeeze. Before I do my next snap, I want to put this one on. It is a hard action snap, so it requires a little bit of effort. What I'm going to do is I'm going to pull down and then I'm going to snap this one. So I'm going to grab my chalk. This one's actually even a little better. Blue one. I'm going to pull down, stretch a little bit, make an indentation. There we go. Easy. It's a nice thing about this tool. You can put it right in place. So see, a little bit of tension, pull down. Notice with that little bit of tension, this webbing lays nice and flat. I'm placing the snaps on my stucco strip. I've marked where they belong. I've already placed a couple. So here's a mark here. So I'm going to use my snap tool. That socket is going to go up on that little thingy-mabob button down there. I'm going to flip it over, find my mark, and it helps to go fast. A little adjustment knob here. If it's done correctly, it should look something like that. So now I'm going to snap my stucco strip. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get it to connect magnetically as I've pre-prepared. Okay, so now it's actually kind of part of the curtain. And I'm just going to snap it to the wall, just like that, and try to get my line as straight as possible. We just color this a little bit and make a mark like that, just enough to see. There we go. Pull down, make sure my line is good. Chalk the back. Get my line the way I want it. Pull down. Press the snap against it where the chalk will leave an imprint. Sometimes I go just a whisker below. Pull down, snap. So we've got the curtain in place. It's all snapped together. It goes all the way around. And the last thing we're going to do is we're going to place our elastic cords. And the elastic cords in the corner, depending on how we position them, we can take a little bit of slack out of the bottom. So here's an elastic cord setup the way it came in your kit. We have 2 D-rings, the screws for the D-rings. One of the clips is on the cord. What you're going to do is you're going to cut the cord to the desired length and you're going to put this last clip on. It's just a clip and a collar. Okay, so let's show you how to do that. So the best place for the elastic cord is right here in the gap. And there's my D-ring right here. It's pushing my corner right in the back. Second D-ring is just going to go right back here in the corner below the first one. Right into the floor. Now, if you happen to be going into masonry, the curtain needs to go around something, so you're going to have to get it into masonry, concrete, or something like that. And the only difference between drilling into masonry and drilling into wood is you need a masonry drill bit, and then you need a little plastic insert to receive the screw. Almost like you're hanging a mirror in drywall. You know, you put those little plastic anchors in there to hold the screw. Well, you put the same sort of plastic anchor in the concrete so that it doesn't chip away at the concrete. That's it. Now we're gonna hang our elastic cord. Before I do any cutting, I'm gonna hook it up. This cord stretches 2 to 1, but you don't want to pull it with maximum tension. I'm just going to hook that thing up there. I want it taut, but I don't want it super taut. I think that would be good. So what I'm going to do is I need some scissors. Trent, you want to cut it right there? Good. And I need the collar. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to put this collar on first. And the other clip. This other clip. Make sure you get it all the way down to the hilt. Get it all the way in there. All the way in. Pull down. Locks on. Okay, now I stretch down to my other D-ring. And now my curtain has something to go around. And I have a nice crisp corner. When this thing gets snapped to the side, it'll have a nice crisp corner like that. So here's my curved track, and I want to put my D-ring right in here. I don't want to really go in this crack, so I think I'll go right over here. So I want to get that D-ring as close as to that track as possible. It's really right against that track there. Let's talk about sealing the base. The first thing you want to do is nothing. You want to watch your curtain and see how it behaves under different conditions, under the wind. Now there's two primary fasteners for sealing the base. There's elastic cord and there are marine snaps. Now, take a look at the base of this curtain and see how it floats. If I can create a little bit of side-to-side tension, I can take that float out. So I've placed a snap in the outer corner over there by that elastic cord. What I'm going to do is, again, notice how this thing is floating. I'm going to pull with a little bit of tension, and I'm going to snap the curtain into place, and look what happens to the bottom. It's that side-to-side tension that creates your seal. So let's do a recap of the project and let's talk a little bit about usability. So I start with one panel, it's marine snap to the side. I have my magnetic doorway so I can go in and out. Curtain goes around. I have a marine snap here, I have elastic cord. I have a curve track, and remember the purpose of this curve track is so that I can get this curtain all the way around that curve and gather it in that far corner. So my first panel, and this is my second panel that just keeps on going, keeps on going, keeps on going. Around this elastic cord, this is the right angle method. I go all the way over to here, and what I've added is a stucco strip. Remember, a stucco strip is just a mini panel. I snap one edge of the stucco strip to the wall. The other side is rigged with a magnetic connection. So when it comes time to open it, I don't have to unsnap anything. And when I go to close it, I can do that out of reach. I don't have to get on a ladder and do anything. So I'm going to draw my curtain to the side here. Remember, I have a marine snap down here, so I'm going to unsnap it. Pull my curtain to the side. We've provided a tie-up strap. We'll tie this curtain in the corner, like this. This fella here will just tie back, or we'll give you a tie back and hold this back. Again, when we want to close the curtain, make our way around our curve. Back to our stucco strip. I'm already snapped. I'll re-snap this. And I'll seal my magnetic door. And I'm in business. Okay, so let's see if the dog knows how to use it. Martin, come here, buddy. Come on. Look at that, close right back up again. I love it.